Good evening. My name is Rachel Ferguson, and today I want to talk about the education of girls, but not the kind that takes place in the standard classroom. I think we need to start talking to girls about what they see as their role in society and the value that they see of that contribution. We need to ask them what they expect of themselves and of one another. I think we need to start asking them questions that they're not being asked, and to give them the confidence to stride out towards their full potential. I think most of us here are probably familiar with the damning reports coming out of Davos every year. Japan consistently ranks lowest of all developed nations on these gender reports. And it comes down to basically the fact that there are not enough females filling roles of authority, decision-making positions. Now, that's not any kind of damning indictment of the basic education system. We've got 40% of females filling the places at universities here in Japan. But here in Japan, and this is a phenomenon that we only see in South Korea as well, the only two places in the world, the higher the level a woman's education, the less likely she is to be in paid employment. So we need to look outside of the classroom to the other influences. And if we turn to the media, we're going to find shelves stacked with magazines and television programs for women and young girls. And most of it has the same limited content: romance, child rearing, cooking, travel, fashion. So we need to open a new conversation to talk to these young women. Now, here in Japan, there's a wealth of intelligent and very active women. However, if we look to the corporate world, there's a real lack of mentors. And we need mentors to help women break through that glass ceiling. Similarly, I think there's a lack of accessible, healthy, and relatable role models for young girls. Recently, I'm sure many of you saw in the news, a young Japanese idol shaved her head in penance for pursuing a relationship with a boy of around the same age, because relationships were forbidden by the very employer that exploits her youth for the sexual gratification of older men. I think we need better idols than that. And I think that that particular idol could do with some good role models to teach her about personal autonomy. Well, I'm not a role model for Japanese girls, but there is at least one girl somewhere who looks up to me. Her name is Hannah, and she is my younger sister by 12 years, and she lives in Scotland. Now, recently Hannah has been going through the same things that most of us went through in our late teens. And she's been feeling frustrated about living at home with my parents, who she argues with, and she's been feeling very unsure about the future and what it's going to hold and what she should do. And after receiving a particularly fraught email from her, I sat down to answer it. I wanted to tell her all of the things I wish that I had known when I was her age. So I started to write, and I kept writing. And I wrote a short book. Now, in that book, I told her frankly what I thought about, well, lots of topics. I told her not to buy women's magazines and to value brains and kindness over beauty. I told her not to get married till she was at least 25 and to be responsible for her own fertility. I encouraged her to be a free thinker and to question everything. I told her to learn about nutrition and about money and finance. I told her lots of things, and I told her to dream big and make plans and learn from her failures and just keep going. And I bound this book and I sent it to her for her birthday. Now, I have to tell you, she was underwhelmed, to say the least. It's going to be some time before she forgives me for sending her an entire book of unsolicited advice instead of the iPhone she wanted. She doesn't have to take the advice. She doesn't even have to agree with it. That's not the point. It's advice from my personal perspective, from my experiences, and that's the nature of advice. It's not to be taken wholesale. I just wanted to make her think, to disagree, to debate, to come up with her own solutions and her own aspirations, her own rules to live by. Well, the other week I woke up with role models on my mind. How can we provide role models for young girls here in Japan? How can we start a conversation with young women about their role in society, their capabilities, and their dreams? There's a lot to do. But what can I do as one person? What do I have that can help? Well, I have this book. Now, if it can even help just a handful of girls who are interested in starting a new kind of conversation, well, that's a start. It's not a rule book. It's not any kind of definitive guide. It's just one middle-class, white British girl's reflections on the experiences that she's had so far. But it's a start. It's something to debate and something to adapt. So, I would like to tell you that you can now go to www.sisters.jp to read the Japanese version is there as well as the English version. But I'm the girl who takes the T right out of TED, and the website is not ready yet. But we do have a Facebook site, Sisters, that you can look at and find these things, and we'll start the conversation there. But the handbook is not the movement. That's just the icebreaker. The next step, and the most important step, is to introduce role models. We want to profile ordinary Japanese women doing extraordinary things. Entrepreneurs, women working in male-dominated industries, women making the system work, or creating entirely new systems. We want to ask these women for their insights and create a platform where these younger women can ask their role models for encouragement and for advice that specifically can help them in their situations. So if you would like to be part of this conversation, I really want to hear from you. We need role models. If you think you can do that, please get in touch. If you think there's someone who could benefit from this kind of conversation, also get in touch. Or if there's something else you think you can offer, maybe some IT help, then that would also be greatly appreciated. And let's make Sisters somewhere that we can collaborate and inspire one another, somewhere for sisterhood and success. Thank you very much.